Christ is king, it's where we belong. Stay with the dream, don't lose your way. Right way's the fire that'll light the day. Keep it simple, let the moment arrive. 3-8 trap keeps the hope alive. Hold on tight till the signal's near. Right way's the trail, we're breaking through fear.
Good morning, fellow traders. This is Doug Campbell with Right Way Options, and this is the morning market prep video for August 27th, 2025. Well, we're winding down this month pretty quickly, and well, we still have a little bit of uncertainty ahead of us despite the bullishness that came in yesterday. So let's take a look at what happened overnight. We take a look at Australian markets last night, and they were up 24.90 or 0.28%. Hong Kong was down 323.16 or 1.27%. We've got Korea was up $7.80 or 0.25%. The Nikkei up 125.87 or 0.30%. India was down 255.70 or 0.10%, and we've got Shanghai lower by 68.03 or 1.76%. Couple of things that happened over there or are happening over there. Remember, India's tariffs are set to take effect, and China had their industrial profits continuing to slip, but it was a little bit better than the last couple reads. Slipped 1.5% from a year earlier. So still struggling in there, and was one of the reasons why Shanghai fell so much yesterday. If we take a look at European markets here this morning, just a slight mix in there. The DAX right now is lower by 33.97 or 0.14%. But the FTSE has got a $5.89 increase going on, or 0.06%. And the CAC is up 33.69, 0.44%, trying to recover from the news yesterday that the France government is on the verge of collapse. So we'll want to be keeping an eye on that. If we take a look at U.S. futures here this morning, modest gains here today. Not too excited here. We've got probably another big day of hurry up and wait for the NVIDIA report after the bell. We'll talk about that in a minute, but right now, Dow futures are up 18 points even. S&P 500 futures up $2.25, and NASDAQ futures up $4.75 here at the moment. So just kind of floating around here, the flat line, waiting on a pretty good day of earnings data that could move the market, and a little bit of economic reports out there that we'll have to be watching as well. Let's take a look at other things here. Let's take a look at the U.S. dollar after we take a quick look at bonds. Bond prices here this morning moving a little bit lower. The 2-year coming in at 3.66%, 10-year coming at 4.27%. That 30-year is holding in there pretty sticky at 4.92%. If we take a look at that U.S. dollar is making some gains here today. Right now, the dollar futures are up 44 cents, and you can see trying to move through. And this, I think, is going to be critical if we can break through some resistance up here. So watch that carefully. If this can finally hold on in this area and start pushing on up in the US dollar. So watch that pretty carefully here today. Right now, we've got, as a result of that, we've got gold moving lower. Gold ended up with a pretty good day yesterday, moving up pretty sharply to test that downtrend here in GLD. But right now, down $7.80 an ounce in the futures. So keep an eye on that here today. And we've got silver also moving lower today. Right now, silver futures down 24 cents at 38.87 an ounce. Gold is at $3,425 an ounce. Now, unfortunately, we're kind of red across the board in some of these precious metals here this morning. We've got copper moving a little bit lower here today, down 4 cents. But as you can see, miners are continuing to move to the upside. We've had some really strong moves in the miners, and even in that gold sector. GDX just has been really strong, finally catching a pullback here today, but those miners continue to hold in there strong. If we take a look at platinum, platinum is down this morning, $8.90 an ounce, and palladium is pretty much flat on the day here at the moment. Just a little bit flat, but it is moving sharply in a after that big rally yesterday, opening lower here, it looks like this morning. So let's take a look at what we have going on in cryptos. Now, those cryptos struggled a little bit yesterday and recovered. We've got IBIT this morning, right now down just $40, $40.86 a coin, or 0.04%, while at the same time we have Ether moving to the upside here, up $4.97 a coin, or 0.11%. And a little bit of mix in those cryptos here today. So keep an eye on that, and pretty modest gains and losses here at the moment. Let's take a quick peek at what's going on in oil here this morning. If we take a look at USO, we've got those oil futures pulling back right now, down 17 cents at 63.07 a barrel. Brent crude is coming in at 67.09, and natural gas that tried to make a little bit of gain yesterday, getting thumped on again here this morning, down a little over a penny a half here on nat gas, continuing to make new record lows here in the market. Ugly in the natural gas markets at the moment. Let's take a look. Actually, I think we have covered it all. So how about we just settle in, let's buckle up, and let's get ready for the hump day, the Wednesday edition of the Morning Market Prep video. Good morning once again, everyone, and thanks so much for being here. I very much appreciate it. Let's take a look at these index charts to see if we can gain a little bit of information about how we might want to approach the market today. Remember, we want to take a look at these charts for what they are, not for what we want them to be, and really look at the details in here and shake off that bias, at least for a little while here as we go through these charts. So first off, when we take a look at the diamonds, you know, it's pretty hard to look at this chart and not see anything but bullishness. As I mentioned yesterday, any rest or pullback in here that holds above this support is bullish. And yesterday, it took a while. We struggled in here for quite a bit. We finally got a rally going at the end of the day. But as you can see, a very bullish pattern in here in the market. And if those bulls can continue to find that inspiration, we need to start moving back up through these levels right in here. And of course, up right through there is new record highs in the Dow. So certainly a possibility. Now, if the bears would have anything to say here, pushing back down, I think breaking back down below this area right in here might raise just a little bit of worry or concern, but we've got that trend in here that could hold us. We've got this support in here that could hold us. I think we would have to close below this big white candle here before we'd have any major concern come up in the market. Now, is that possible? I would say yes, it is possible. Remember, we've put NVIDIA into the Diamond SPY and the QQQ. So if NVIDIA were to report good this afternoon after the bell, then I would look for new record highs. Just a big celebration in the market because so many eyes are paying attention on it. If, however, NVIDIA were to disappoint, that's where I think we have that chance that we could break this back down. So we're going to have to watch that NVIDIA report pretty carefully here today because there's a lot hanging on it at the moment, particularly for the QQQ. But let's take a look at the SPY. SPY also extremely bullish in here, looking good in that chart. Nice bullish engulfing candle. As a matter of fact, right at the end of the day, it got a really nice surge up here, breaking through. So if you look right there, we had a new record high close of the SPY yesterday in just the last few seconds of the day as they pushed to get that done here in the SPY. So keep an eye on that. If those bulls can continue to push, I could see every reason to believe we could break this recent high in here and have new record highs in the SPY quite easily here in the market, pushing that on higher. So blue sky above if that were to occur. Now, if the bears were to have anything to say and we start pushing this back down, we'll start looking at some of these areas in here for some price support in that chart. But you got to look at this chart and see all the bullishness. We held onto this upside trend. We're holding on to this area of price support. So really, to assume that the bears are going to get going, we're going to need some kind of catalyst to really move us down. Right now, it's tremendous hope that NVIDIA is going to perform pretty well. And I think the odds are, with what we've seen lately, NVIDIA will perform pretty well. But that being said, if there's a miss here, that's where we could get that pullback here in the market. Breaking down below this area, then I would start looking for a test of this area of price support and trend. It would be a break of this big candle here. Losing that candle, I think, would raise some really serious concerns in the market, and we'd see that fear pop up here a bit. If we take a look at QQQ, here again, this is going to be really critical for the QQQ because we're trying to get back through this resistance in the chart. If we can get that bullish action in here and pop through that resistance in the chart, then we can start progressing up. I think first we're going to have to get up through that black candle right there, and then we'll start pushing through these areas of price resistance above to see if we can get back up here toward all-time highs in the QQQ. Now, unfortunately here, if the bears were to have anything to say, if NVIDIA stumbles here, watch that carefully. We could easily see pushback here to test some of this price support here in the chart, and then we would start that process of potentially breaking down. Now, clearly, we still have this upside trend going on in here, that higher low. At the same time, we have the potential of a lower high. So we're in that wedging pattern that makes this one a lot more tenuous than the other indexes out there. If NVIDIA were to really stumble and we were to break down, we might be able to push back into here and catch some support right in that area. Again, I think it's going to be breaking that big candle all the way down. That would raise some concerns in the market. And of course, if we were to take out that low here over the next several days, that's going to be real worrisome for the market. So watch that carefully here today. A lot is hinged on that NVIDIA report this afternoon. If we take a look at IWM has, it doesn't benefit from having the tech giants in there, but that didn't hurt it at all yesterday. NVIDIA was the chart that really led the day in here as those small caps continued to rally and really picked up the strongest early in the day and continued to push. So if those bulls can continue to find inspiration here today, then I would look for a push through up here. Break that recent high and we'll start stretching up, and we'll start looking for some resistance levels out here in this area for us to try and challenge. And remember, we need to get above this area here for all-time highs in IWM. It's trying, but we'll want to watch that closely. Now, if the bears were to have anything to say, we've got some pretty good area price support right in here off of these lows. So push back into there wouldn't hurt us at all. It would just continue to be resting out here toward this upside trend. If we were to break lower than that, breaking back down below this area here might raise a little bit of concern, and we could test this area of price support here in the chart. Again, I think this big candle in here is the anchor right now, and if we were to break that all the way down below that candle, that's where those bears will really start to gain a little bit of energy here on the day. Not saying that's going to happen in any way, shape, or form, because this is an extremely bullish chart. Now, if we take a look at our VIX popped up with a little bit of fear yesterday, and then by the end of the day, and really within the last 30 seconds of the day, we had a good solid push back to the upside, and it ended up closing this candle at a bearish engulfing. So right now, bulls are definitely in control here. We're showing no fear in the market. We might, however, be showing a little bit of complacency. So we'll try and judge that after we see what NVIDIA does here later on today. But watch this closely. If this continues to pull back, if those bulls continue to find that energy to push to the upside, well, we'll start looking for these areas of price support down in here to be tested, and even that possibility that we could break to new lows, and we'll start looking for levels, maybe down in this area here on the VIX. So keep an eye on that on the VIX. Our T2122, unfortunately, we pushed back up in T2122. This is the 4-week new high, new low ratio, and you can see we pushed back up, just sneaking up into that bearish reversal zone up here, and that's where we've just kind of overextended the market. Now we still have more upside room, so if those bulls have any inspiration here today, we could certainly push that on through here to the upside, and that's one of the benefits of a pullback in the market. We finally relieve some of that bullish pressure, and then buyers will step back in. So watch that closely here. We do have some room for them. But here's the kicker. If we get a stumble in the market today, you just want to look at that opportunity here with such a big report like NVIDIA being so heavily watched. If we were to stumble, we have a big opportunity to move lower, and I would look, if NVIDIA stumbles tonight, substantially pretty big gap down. So make sure you're planning your trading carefully here in the market. Make sure you're positioning yourself to protect yourself in case there is that problem. I think the odds lean to the fact that it won't happen, but if it does, make sure you have a plan to protect yourself. And then if we take a look at our T2108, we finished the day here in T2108 essentially flat. Nothing happened in there on T2108. The percentage of stocks above the 40-day moving average. Although we pushed up yesterday, we just didn't make much happen here in T2108. But that doesn't mean it's bearish. As a matter of fact, we held up real strongly in here. So if those bulls can find inspiration here today, well, I see every reason to believe we can stretch on through, get past that 60% area, start working our way up here around 65 in that mid zone, and then up toward that 70%. I will warn you, however, with the wild bullishness that we have going on here in the market, that when we get above that 70% area here in T2108, we tend to be in a very, very frothy area of the market. So we'll want to watch that closely here, and particularly if we get some bad news from NVIDIA. If we take a look at our T2107 here, whoops, T2107 also very flat in there yesterday, just slightly lower. So again, this isn't bearish at all. It's still holding in a very, very bullish pattern. So if we can follow through with some bullish action today, I would say right up in here, testing that mid area around 55% of the stocks above their 200-day. It looks very possible. You'll notice we'll have a little bit of resistance in there, big congestion area in that chart. But if we can get a good bullish push, particularly after the bell, after that report, then that possibility stretching up here, seeing some of this area around 60%, certainly seems possible. Once we start moving up in here on T2107, we start getting above 65%. We're reaching that very frothy area in T2107 where we tend to pull back from. Now, if the bears were to have anything to say today, well, again, we're so stretched here in the market, I think anything is possible. If we can wake up tomorrow with, if NVIDIA stumbles, with a very different look here in T2107. But we've got some good areas of price support that could potentially hold us if those bears were to push back here on the day. And then take a look at T2101. I'm going to give this to the bulls yesterday. They managed another stretch in the breadth yesterday, pushing us up. Unfortunately, they started to kind of hook over here just a little bit. Now, I gotta say, I can't say that is extraordinarily bad, because what we're looking at here is just this big uncertainty of what will happen with that NVIDIA report. So you can see the hesitation in the market, and we can certainly see the hesitation if we take a look at the volume of the day. Volume came up right at the end of the day here, but still very, very weak volume overall in the market. We continue to see that weakness here on that uncertainty of how that report could affect the market. So kind of keep that in mind. Let's take a look at our economic calendar here for today. And our economic calendar, we've got a little bit going on in here, but the really big reports are coming Thursday and Friday. If we take a look in here, we're going to get mortgage applications this morning. I don't think they're out just yet. No. We were just a little bit weak on mortgage applications last time. I suspect, I could be wrong, but I suspect we could have a little bit more hesitation in there with the hope and anticipation of a rate cut coming in September. Now, I could see people holding off on creating mortgage applications, hoping for those lower rates. If you take a look here, we've got a petroleum status number. We'll want to be watching that, because these numbers have been pretty ugly here, even though oil has been falling pretty sharply due to Russian oil supplies and things like that. We'll want to be watching that pretty closely here in that number today. After that, we've got a survey of business uncertainty. Survey of business uncertainty last time had sales growth of 3.75 and employment growth of 4.16%. Pretty healthy. Watch that closely. And then we've got a couple of bond auctions, Barkin, and then a 5-year note at 1 o'clock today. Everyone will be thinking about that NVIDIA report after the bell today. And if we take a look at those earnings for today, here is a list of those earnings today for you to take a look at. A little bit more to chew on here this morning. Abercrombie's in there. We've got Kohl's. We've got Schmucker's in there. So keep an eye on those here this morning. Grab a screenshot of this. And then after the bell, you know, the Mac Daddy is going to be NVIDIA here. We're going to have Snow reporting. We've got NetApp. We've got HPQ, Five Below. Crowdsource will be in there. So Urban Outfitters. So quite a bit of retail here today, but there are some heavy hitters in here that have that potential to move the market this afternoon, and that's what we'll all be waiting for here today. First off, let's take a look. Let's look at Abercrombie here this morning. Kind of flat so far. BMO popping here this morning, getting a nice little push to the upside. Let's look at DCI. DCI popping up here. That's helping out this morning. Schmucker's not doing much here. Kohl's, a little flat here on Kohl's so far. So, yeah, keep an eye on those. RY, nice pop there in Royal Canadian Bank. PLAB. Again, I think a lot of today is just going to be a hurry up and wait. Waiting for that report after the bell today. Let's take a look. First off, I should mention to everyone for NVIDIA today, it won't report until 20 minutes after the market close, 4:20. So you're going to have to wait around a little bit to see what happens there on that report this afternoon. But I think it could be real meaningful as to whether we're going to continue this push to the upside, or if we start to settle back down and pull back a little bit. So just kind of keep that one in mind. Let's take a look at some stocks that could be setting up for today. But before we do that, everyone, if you could do me that quick favor, if this is the first time you've seen these videos, if you could please click that subscribe button on YouTube, and also click that bell icon when it kicks up, so you can never miss one of these videos. You'll get notification every time that video pops up. Also, thank you to everyone who does take the time to click those thumbs up buttons, leave a brief comment. That helps the channel to grow. I know it gets monotonous every single day, but it does help support the effort for putting these videos out every single day. And thank you so much for everyone who does take the time to do that. I truly appreciate it. Let's take a look at a few of these stocks that could be setting up. And remember, everyone, these aren't recommendations to buy or sell any security. You need to do your own due diligence and be very, very careful in this market, because anything could change overnight here today. Now, first off, let's take a look at Biogen. If you like anything in that biotech, healthcare, drug maker sphere, Biogen holding in here in a very nice pattern, pushing up through that resistance and setting up, I think, for that next opportunity here to the upside. Keep an eye on Biogen. If we get some bullishness coming into the market, every reason to believe that could push on through here to the upside. If we take a look at XLB, I've been mentioning this for several days. Material sector staying very, very strong in here at XLB. Nice little resting pattern. We're pounding against this door up here of resistance to see if we can break through. A little bit of bullishness here today, and I see that opportunity that could just push right on through and continue to move up. And there are a lot of stocks in that sector that really look pretty good. So you might want to drop into that sector, take a look at that materials area. Good looking chart here setting up at the moment. If we take a look at Lowe's continuing to set up in here, very bullish pattern in here, that nice little resting pattern coming in here after its earnings. Watch that carefully. I think there's an opportunity that could move on through to the upside. Worth paying attention to. Home Depot continued that upside move as well. I would keep a close eye on this little resting pattern right here. This is a continuation pattern that could turn into a mat hold. That's where we get this big bullish push and 3 little candles inside this candle here. We just need that nice push to get that to send on through to the upside. So keep an eye on that on Home Depot. Looking pretty good overall. Take a look at GoPro. Big pop there on GoPro here. I would wait for the next entry on this. GoPro, little rest or pullback in here after breaking through that downtrend. Could set up that next opportunity. Keep an eye on that, showing some strength. STX, I've been mentioning this over and over and over, and STX really looking good after popping that alert here in the chart. And this is a pattern that I teach all the time. If anyone wants to come into the RWO room and be part of some of the education that we do in here, we still have this $7 trial going on, but I want to warn everybody, and I'll leave a link for this in the just below the title of the video. But keeping in mind, this is going to change. We're not going to be keeping that much longer here. So take advantage of that if you have an interest. But STX still looking just really good here in the chart. I would also be keeping a close eye on WDC. WDC, nice little stretch here. Same kind of pattern, stretching up, resting just a little bit. Look for that next little spark of bullishness in here. I think that could push on through to the upside. Keep an eye on Toll. There's another mat hold type pattern setting up in here. That nice big bullish push. Nice little resting pattern in here. Beautiful continuation pattern. All we need is that spark of bullishness, and maybe that pushes on through to the upside on Toll. PHM, Pulte Homes, in the same kind of pattern here. Very bullish in this upside trend. Every reason to believe with a little bit of a bullish push in here, we could send this right on through to the upside. So keep an eye on some of those builders out there. On the tech side of things, Google, I think, is one of the best positioned here for a good upside move here, particularly if NVIDIA reports well. You don't have to take the risk with NVIDIA. Maybe pick up something here in Google, because I think Google will respond bullishly or bearishly along with NVIDIA here today. So watch that carefully. Beautiful bullish pattern in here for that potential to set on up to the upside. Keep an eye on that. You may even want to keep an eye on Apple. Apple just announced September 9th, they're coming out with, they're going to do their little dog and pony show with their new iPhone 17. It picked up a little bit yesterday, still dealing with some resistance in the chart, but sometimes we will see this move up in anticipation of their announcement. It is pretty common, however, at their announcement, the stock falls. So watch that carefully here in Apple. Another place I'm watching here is RIG. This broke that support, looked like it was ready to fall on lower here, but you'll notice that we recovered and we're holding in here on RIG. RIG breaking through this major long-term downtrend in the chart. If we get some bullish action in here, this might be just what the doctor ordered and push that right on through to the upside. You could continue to have that presidential conversation going on in here is drill baby drill, and I think RIG could easily benefit from that, so watch that closely. So with that, everyone, hey, I'm running out of time. I want to wish you all a fantastic day. I want to wish you great results in your trading. Thanks so much for being here today. Be careful, be safe. I'll see you right back here Thursday morning, and as always, I wish you all the very best.
Black and white candles, my stars in the dark. Price is my king, got that fire and spark. Rideways my ranch on the trader's trail. Trading with heart where the profits prevail.